Hello, it's Teacher Carrie here, and today I want to talk with you about 5 P's to a more packed schedule. Now, if you're new to teaching with VIPKID, your biggest question is probably, how do I get parents to choose me? And I'm sure you've looked on YouTube, checked out the Hutong, and hung around in the Facebook groups to get all the information you can about how to increase your booking numbers. So let's just quickly go over the basics. Of course, you want to make sure that your intro video is on point. You have really cute and appealing profile pictures. Your About Me paragraph entices parents to want to book classes with you. You've checked over your teacher tags to make sure that they're appropriate for the levels you're interested in teaching. And you've opened all the slots you possibly could. And of course, you're trying to be consistent with opening those slots so that parents know when to expect your slots to be open each week. So in this video, I'm going to try to take you beyond the basics and talk about really how to increase your regular student base. So let's see what my 5 P's to a more packed schedule are. My first tip for you is preparation. If you get booked for a class, be sure to spend plenty of time preparing for it. With VIPKID, it can be really tempting not to do any prep for the lessons because everything is already laid out for you. But I promise your preparation or lack thereof really shows when you are teaching your students. So always be sure that you know what the learning targets are for the lesson, have some props in mind that you might want to use while you're teaching, and go ahead and plan for extension activities or for ways that you can support struggling students as you're preparing for your classes. The next tip for you is be sure that your pronunciation is perfect. Parents really want to hear that you have good pronunciation while you're teaching and that you're offering plenty of positive error corrections in class. It's very, very important that you correct any errors that you catch in class and that you can explain why that's an error to a student if need be. The next thing is you want to work on your pacing. With a lot of VIPKID lessons, the rule of thumb is just 1 minute per slide. But of course, then we have those kind of outliers where there might be more than 25 slides in the lesson, or particularly for an assessment class, you might have up to 50 slides in just one class. So practicing your pacing for each lesson is very important. You want to make sure that you are moving quickly enough to keep the student's attention, but that you're not going too quickly that they can't learn new information. So my rule of thumb with this is always go as quickly as you can, but as slow as you need to. With VIPKID, the curriculum is secular, meaning that the student is going to see the same material over and over throughout the levels and units. So you don't need to teach to mastery in every single lesson, but if your student is really struggling, it's okay to slow down and focus on those areas that they really need extra help in and kind of zoom through those areas that they are on top of and they don't need any extra support there. My next tip for you is to use props, many and several props. Now, you might be a minimalist teacher and that's okay, but you definitely want to have a large enough arsenal of props that you can really talk about any topic in class with your students. Now, when you're first getting started, you might be using just some printed props or some props from the dollar store is what I used to use. You might not have something like Minicam set up where you can display digital props yet, and that's okay, but be sure that you have just the basics covered. So my favorite props usually to start out are a girl, a boy, some food, some animals, even just flashcards will work, but you want to be sure that you can show at least 3 props per lesson. And in my basic lessons with students, honestly, I use probably closer to 15 and sometimes 20 or 25 props per lesson. Now, that can take a lot of time to practice making sure that your prop usage is efficient. You don't want to fumble around with your props and spend a long time trying to find the one that you want. So in this prop preparation, it's important that you get yourself a system for how you are going to organize your props and how you can use them efficiently in class. I know a lot of people organize their props by category, and that's what I did when I was using 3D or physical props. So I had categories for animals, food, toys, things that you might find around the house, like a cute little furniture doll set for talking about the home. And then I had props that were specific to different levels. I used to teach a lot of the regular interactive level 1 curriculum, so I had props for Mexico and Jamaica and all the different countries that were introduced in those level 1 lessons. So for me, I just used a toy shelf organizer where I had little bins full of props that I could just quickly pull out before each lesson and have them ready for my students. And my last tip for you today is practice. It's totally okay to print out the slides or to just have them open somewhere on your computer. Go into the practice classroom in VIPKID and really practice your pacing, your prop usage, and planning for how you can extend the lesson or support struggling learners. Now, all of these tips really relate to how well you can teach. And if you're not a teacher by trade, this is your first time in a teaching situation, the preparation is really, really key. Now, if you are a regular teacher, you teach in a brick and mortar school, of course, you probably have all the skills necessary to be a great online teacher. And what you're going to want to practice is your teaching presence. How do you come across in your online classroom? You always want to come across as confident, friendly, and encouraging to the students. That positive error correction really makes such a huge difference with our learners because we don't want them to be anxious in class with us. Anxiety is not the key to learning. So we want to make our classroom as fun and exciting as we can for our students while also helping move them forward. Let me know what your tips for perfect teaching are and how they can relate to adding additional bookings to your schedule. With all the tips that I shared today, the idea is to get students and keep them. My personal record for the number of times I've taught one student is about 250 times, and I can't wait to teach that student another 250 times. So yes, with the basics, we can attract new students, but we really want to be able to hold on to them for as long as possible. It's so much fun to watch your students grow. I hope you have a great day teaching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!